What's up guys, Caleb Beg01 back with these guys again for a tracklist ranking. For today's album that we are doing the tracklist ranking on is Green Day's 2004 epic album, American Idiot. I've got a random album review out currently for this, so if you guys want to know my thoughts on the album as a whole, definitely check that out. But as you guys know, in this video I'm going to be ranking the track list from my least favourite to favourite on the album. This was super hard to do because super iconic songs on this super iconic album. I'm sure everyone has their different favourites, but this was super hard to list because, as I said, most of the songs are pretty solid on here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. I'm happy to hear what your favourites are, or maybe some songs that you don't really click with, but as you guys know, this is the standard edition of the album, so it starts with American Idiot at track 1, and then the closing track is What's Her Name, so 13 songs total, but let's get straight into this, coming in my last place at number 13. As I said, a hard album to put a song in last place because this album is so popular and well known and all the songs are good, but unfortunately a song's got to come last, and that's where Extraordinary Girl comes in for me. I respected this song for being probably the most unique on the album, and they really experimented with this one. You know, I find the opening drums for this song pretty interesting, and I don't even know what style of guitar playing is being played during the intro, but I find that super unique. But this isn't a song that really clicks with me. But as I said, I really do respect it for what it's trying and what it's doing, but a song has got to come in last place for this tracklist ranking, and for me, coming in at number 13 is Ordinary Girl. For my number 12, I have She's a Rebel. Now, coming out of Extraordinary Girl, as I said, was a experimental song, I feel like, for the album, but now coming into a song that I feel like is really safe and maybe just more of a generic sounding song. Not a bad song. What I put it over Extraordinary Girl is I just find it a bit more catchy, and I just like this song a little bit more. As I said, this track list was super hard to do because all the songs have their pros to them, and unfortunately songs just got to come at the bottom of this list. So at my number 12 I have She's a Rebel, but I definitely understand how this song has its fans. Just once again, doesn't really click with me, and I feel like, as I said, it falls into a safer territory than some of the other songs on this album. But my number 12, She's a Rebel. Let's get into my number 11. Coming in at my number 11 is a track I sort of slept on when I was growing up with this album. It's one that falls towards the back of the album, and maybe that's why, and it is Letterbomb. Letterbomb to me is a song that reminds me of very much of early Green Day, something that you would hear off Dookie. It is a burst of energy, and it is a song that you can have a lot of fun with, and maybe possibly if in my earlier days when I was younger and I was growing up with this album, maybe if I clicked with this song further back then, I would have had this higher, but as I said, with this tracklist ranking, it's hard to rank them and they got to fall somewhere, but I definitely recommend Letterbomb. As I said, a boost of energy, a lot of fun with this song, highly recommend it, so that's why it's my number 11. Coming in at my number 10 is one of the closing epics of the album, being Homecoming. This song, if you don't know, runs for, I think it's roughly 9 minutes. Very much like the very popular Jesus of Suburbia that plays at the start of this album. Has its little segments all the way through. And I feel like this one, compare it to Jesus of Suburbia, which I think is easy to do because they're both really long songs that sort of, I guess, bounce off each other. I feel like this is the more experimental of the two, and once again, I respect it for that. If you don't know, there's little segments in there that are actually sung by the other members of the band, not just Billy Joe. For example, my favourite part of the song is actually the part sung by the bass player Mike Dirnt. I really like that part. You also got Trey Cool on the drums, who is also singing in his part called Rock and Roll Girlfriend. This song is really unique, and I feel like it actually gets overlooked because a lot of people compare it to Jesus of Suburbia, which is such a good song, and it's going to be, spoiler alert, much higher on this list. But I feel like this is a little bit of a slept-on song, but definitely one to check out still. So coming in at my number 10, we have Homecoming. My number 9 is one originally that I had higher up my list, but it's Are We the Waiting? It's track number 5, and I feel like the first 4 songs are such heavy hitters, and then this one just sort of slows the pace a little bit for me. It's catchy, you can sing along with it. I feel like it's relatively well known for the album, but for me, I just feel like it takes away a lot of the momentum and a lot of the powerhouse energy that the start of the album has. Not a bad song, I'm not hating on it. Obviously, I have it higher than another 4, but Are We the Waiting has to fall somewhere, so I have it as my number 9. Still recommend it, but just where it loses points for me, and as I said, it did come down my rating. Just I feel like takes away a bit of the energy at the start of the album, but as I said, super catchy, you can definitely sing along with it, but that's why it's at my number 9. Now, this is one I can see being controversial because St. Jimmy is a fan favourite song, and this isn't me saying that I don't like the song, just with an album as big and as good as what American Idiot is, there are 7 songs that I had to put above it. Don't take anything negative away with St. Jimmy, because St. Jimmy is such a good song. Once again, hits it with pace and reminds me of old school Green Day. This album obviously has clicked many years under its belt, but when I say old school Green Day, I mean, Dookie era. Just has that fast punk pop hard hitting pace. And obviously, with as many fans as it has, it's super iconic, such a good song. Really do recommend St. Jimmy, but it's got to come in at my number 8. Back to back with another one that I feel like is going to be really controversial, but we have Wake Me Up When September Ends. I mean, who doesn't know this song? Just with me, I feel like why this song isn't higher is honestly my early years with this album. As I said, this album came out 3 years after I was born, so me and this album grew up together. I know this album pretty much back to front. But when I was younger, this was a song that didn't really click for me just because I saw it as that sort of slow song that sort of hangs out towards the back of the album. Got a lot of radio time, but didn't really click with me. Obviously, when I got older and, I listened to the lyrics more, I appreciate this song so much more. I just feel like where it is on my ranking at number 7, I just feel like maybe it was my early years with this album, letting it down for a position higher on this spot, but obviously super iconic song. I feel like, even if you're not a fan of this album or, you're not completely familiar with Green Day, you would have heard this song somewhere, and it really is such a good song lyrically, the way it's written, and it just sounds amazing. Just unfortunately, I really do think it is the early years that have it trapped at my number 7. And obviously, I have 6 really good songs that I like more above it. So, my number 7 is Wake Me Up When September Ends. Let's get to my number 6. Maybe a surprise for a lot of people, but my number 6 is the closing track of the album, What's Her Name? This is one that I feel like is really underrated. I feel like this is just such a cool song, the lead up, the first couple of verses and the first couple of choruses, just so mellow, so in a way chill and, like as I said, just easy to sing along to, just a vibe. And then towards the end just really fucking builds up and honestly just smashes it out of the park. What a way to close the album. As I said, I feel like this is an underrated song, as far as you can say underrated for this album, because I feel like every song in this album is at least someone's favourite. But what's her name? I have to put it higher than a few others, and that's why it's at my number 6. Definitely recommend the closing track for this album. Not too sure with this one. Once again, I sort of feel like maybe this is one that people didn't see coming and maybe expected to be a little bit lower. But Give Me Novocaine, again, I just feel like this is one that's a little bit underrated. Falls pretty much dead center of the album. Just this song, sorry, is one that sort of did surprise me for the album, even though it's a song I was familiar with. I just sort of forgot how much I really do like Give Me Novocaine. Once again, just really cool. Like, this is a cool song, just mellow again, building up in the first choruses and the first verses, and then again just smashes it out of the park towards the end. A very like similar shaped song to What's Her Name. That's why I'm sort of giving the same sort of review for both songs back to back. Just Give Me Novocaine has that edge over the top. Definitely one. Once again, I feel like a lot of people sleep on. As I said, holds up really strong with the songs that fall towards the start of the album. Give Me Novocaine, I know a lot of people would know it, but I can't recommend it enough. Let's get into my top 4 now. Purely because of how well known this album is, I'm sure you guys would have known what's left for my top 4. But taking in at number 4 is the title track, American Idiot. In my opinion, I feel like this is the most globally well-known song of this album. Maybe not most loved song for fans of the album, but I feel like everyone everywhere would have somehow heard this song. You can't say that you haven't heard American Idiot, you know, whether you're in the car or in a shopping mall, on TV, on the radio. You would have heard this song somewhere. I feel like it definitely is the most iconic song for the album. And it is such a heavy hitter. I maybe just couldn't put it in my top 3 purely maybe just because how much it is played. But I can't take points away from it because it is such a good song. It's such a boost of energy. It really just injects you with this hit for being the opening track for this album. Super iconic, such a great song, and obviously I don't think anyone sleeps on this one, so I can't say, if you haven't heard it, go and check it out. But American Idiot, super iconic, and yeah, I have it at my number 4. If I had to pick, I would say that this is the song that majority of fans of Green Day would have at their number 1, because Jesus of Suburbia is a fucking heavy hitter, and for a song that, as I spoke about earlier with Homecoming, this is a 9.5 minute runtime. That can scare a lot of people away. This is good from start to fucking finish, and I feel like early on, as I said, growing up with this album, I sort of unappreciated this song for what it was, but really just, as I said, this song has little segments all the way through. None of them are bad. This song is just fucking from start to finish, such a really good song. And as I said, for its 9.5 minute runtime, which I believe it is, never bores me. All the lyrics, the storytelling, the way this song is written is a fucking masterpiece. I can definitely see how people have this at their number 1. I'm not going to argue that with anybody, but I had to put it somewhere, and this list is purely my opinion, which I think people need to understand sometimes, but Jesus of Suburbia, such a fucking heavy hitter, great song. I wouldn't argue if anyone had it. anywhere in their top 3 or top 5, whatever, because it's such a good song. But let's get into my top 2. Coming in at number 2, we have Holiday, which recently I've heard a lot of people say for the popular, most well-known songs for this album, this is their least favourite. Holiday for me is fun from start to finish. Obviously doesn't have the grand aspect of a 9.5 minute runtime. It sort of actually flies by. A very quick opening song, sort of like, let's say American Idiot, for example. But I just feel like holds up more from start to finish. Just such a fucking awesome song. Once again, I feel like one that everyone's sort of heard. It's been in movies like Surf's Up, for example. I don't know. Such a good song, gets plenty of radio time, and just super enjoyable. Maybe a lot of people, as I said, don't really like it for being one of the biggest songs on the album, but for me, I just can't get enough of it. But obviously there was one song I had to put above another, and if you know me personally and know me very well, I feel like this isn't a surprise, but let's get into my number 1. So as I said, if you know me very well, this wouldn't have been a surprise, but my number 1, Boulevard of Broken Dreams. I just feel like this song really genuinely is a masterpiece. I said in my random album review, this is the first song that I can remember off the top of my head genuinely loving, and this is like me being, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old and going, fuck, I genuinely love this song. This song really fucking blew my mind, and it still blows my mind to this day. Just, Green Day call this album a rock opera, and Boulevard of Broken Dreams is that to a T. Just the way the song's written, the way the song's played, from start to finish, I can't get enough of this song. If I was rating the song, I'd give it a perfect 10 out of 10. And not just that, just super iconic to me, super influential to me in my life. Boulevard of Broken Dreams really takes that role. And that is why I had to put it at my number 1. Nothing else could really go there for me. It really is just that gem of a song. I hold it really close to me. And that is why it takes my number 1 for Green Day's American Idiot from 2004. So as I said, guys, this was a fun list, but a hard ranking to do, because as I said, so many of the songs super iconic, and I guarantee every song in this album is at least someone's favourite. There are no bad songs on this album. Obviously, like anything, there's going to be ones that you prefer over others, but this was a hard one to rank, honestly. I know there are songs that I would have put in my bottom 5, for example, that people would have been screaming, no, that's a top 5 song, and maybe vice versa. I know I put a lot of them, probably more popular songs at the top, which I guess makes sense because they're popular for a reason, but I mean like more of their singles and more radio played songs. But as I said, this is an album I grew up with, and yeah, it's crazy that I pulled this off my shelf for my random album review and tracklist ranking. This was so much fun to do, and guys, I want to hear your thoughts on this album as well. Or if somehow you're living under a rock and haven't heard this album, go check it out. But guys, thank you again for joining me for a tracklist ranking. I'm going to say again, if you haven't seen my random album review, check that out too if you want to know my thoughts on the album as a whole, what I rated out of 10. And guys, I will see you very, very soon. Thank you for joining me, and peace.